as we are talking to you, Hunter Biden is talking to congressional committees behind closed doors. There's two unique parts of this deposition that's taking place today, and this is in light of the opening of an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. So the questioning really goes to not just trying to take down Hunter Biden, who's got 2 active criminal cases, and if he's asked about those, he's going to take the 5th, but more about Joe Biden, because the House will then have to decide, after all these hearings and depositions, do they believe they've got enough information to put forward articles of impeachment and vote on those, just takes a majority vote, and then deliver them to the Senate for a trial. So this is probably one of the most important person they will be interviewing, and we won't see the video.
There is no video.
There will not be video, but what we will get is a transcript, maybe as soon as this evening, but they said at least within 24 hours. They're both sides, Democrats and Republicans, have said they're only going to redact like anything classified or anything that would name a undisclosed witness for protection, things like that. So they don't expect to have any issues. Both sides have come to a full agreement on what they have to remove from it and what everyone will see. So I think we will then get a transcript that will tell us everything about the direction of this impeachment inquiry, because they're either going to get some bombshells or it's going to be a lot of pushing back and a lot of maybe innuendo and smoke screens, but maybe not enough to actually put forward articles of impeachment. We just don't know yet.
And this comes off of the fact that they've had the big witness, supposed to be the FBI witness,
right,
with the 1023, ends up being a total bust,
right,
to where that guy's been arrested now twice.
Yes.
Hunter Biden is represented by a very good friend of ours, Abby Lowell, who you worked with and I worked with. He represented Jared and Ivanka Trump during the Mueller investigation. I would say Abby's in the top 3 criminal defense lawyers in the country, and I'd probably put him as number 1. He's brilliant. He's going to be aggressive. He is the reason that there is no video of this deposition.
Right.
So, look, they'll get information that might be probative and helpful. If it touches on what issues he's been charged criminally with, any lawyer would instruct his client to assert his Fifth Amendment privilege.
Yeah, and this is really what we expect is it's going to be interesting. Usually in these depositions, just to give you kind of some inside information, maybe a couple of congressmen, chairs participate. We are hearing that almost all members of Congress on these committees are preparing to take part. I don't know that they will all necessarily ask questions. One member of Congress was on TV before me on Newsmax this morning and said, he's a pretty new member, so on the committee. So by the time it gets to him, there might not be anything left to ask, but he'll be there in the room. So this is going to be different than just usually it's the counsels to the committee who do the bulk and their staff who do the bulk of the questioning in these behind closed doors hearings. And then if they decide to do a public hearing, that's when the congressman asks the questions. Here, we're going to get a mix. So you're going to see the chief counsels for each of these committees likely ask questions, but you're also going to see in the transcript people like Jim Jordan and Comer, names that asking questions.
And you have to understand what the questions are going to focus on, because what you said, Jordan, is right. This is a question about the impeachment of the president. So it's going to be issues related to that. If it's taxes or the gun charge, not going to happen. There are a couple differences. What you're used to seeing in the external,
when you see the video,
when you see it on, a live hearing,
a big hearing,
or a big hearing, is you have 5-minute statements by the members and then some questioning. This is much more structured. I want to take you inside the committee room. This is structured much more like a deposition in a criminal case or a civil case, where you're actually asked questions that are then answered. So it's not a lot of grandstanding. Now, the lawyers will interject. Hunter Biden lawyers will interject. Abby Lowell will interject if he thinks something's inappropriate, if he thinks it's subject to Fifth Amendment privilege, if he thinks it's outside the scope of the congressional standard is legitimate inquiry. That's when you can look at this. So it's a much more, I would say, it's less TV and more substantive.
Right.
That's what the idea is. Can you get evidence from him relevant to this issue? Here's the question. There's going to be no video, so we're going to have the transcript. But there is this, I think, Jordan, hanging over this. There's this pale of concern that after the last big witness totally blew up. You got to be very careful how you proceed on all this.
And what we're talking about, that last big witness, that was the FBI, the 1023 form. I'm taking you back to, remember Grassley, they said they know about a form, and they were very careful. They said this is just, again, an informant that put this information forward, so it hadn't been verified, but who had talked about this $10 million bribe, basically, to the Bidens, $5 million to Hunter, $5 million to Joe Biden, and then through a Burisma deal, if they did this for Burisma and that for Burisma, which would be the kind of thing you'd get impeached over because it'd be like bribery. And that person now, who has been a paid informant by the FBI before, was arrested for just making that up, and is both Russian and Israeli citizen, but has been a paid FBI informant and has been arrested twice now. Once was let out on their own accord, and then at their attorney's office in Vegas got arrested again because they feel like there's a risk here to something happening to this person who was this asset. But that has been found to be untrue, and they have brought the charges forward is that is because that person had no contact with Burisma at all, that they've been able to document that. They'll have to take that to court and actually prove it, but that certainly hurts because that would have been something that would have definitely been asked about, but for that person's now entire 1023 being in doubt. He hasn't been found guilty yet, but it's been taken seriously enough by the U.S. government that he needs to remain behind bars because he is an asset that was filing inappropriate or factual statements, and you don't want that filed about you either because of some animus towards Joe Biden. The 1023 hit was not good, and I think I kind of agree with a lot of people out there, which is that they're upset with a lot of the Biden policies. I think that, could you take what he's done at the border almost and what they did to Mayorkas instead and flip that to Biden? You're also getting late in the game here. I mean, this is kind of like the 14th Amendment case not yet out by the Supreme Court. At some point, the voters are really focusing on the next president, and they're going to make decisions based off where the economy is in the next few months and not so much on these issues. Now, if there's a full impeachment trial in the U.S. Senate,
which is not likely,
which again, House investigators they're not like 100% like they were with Trump, like they're getting to that.
Right.
I mean, if they feel like they're going to look like laughing stocks bringing over these articles of impeachment,
well, so far
they won't have the votes.
Well, so far, I mean, the situation with the 1023 was devastating.
Yeah. There's got to be something
Can
else
I say
coming.
this to our audience?
Yeah.
And you said it. I had been warning about that, Jordan, for how long? 2 years?
Yeah.
That watch it, because all the 1023 is a witness statement. And they could say anything.